Well, that's a bit close. I'm going to do another Oric game, and this game is called Gubbie. There's not an awful lot more to say about it, to be honest. It does look to be like a fairly simple maze game, but then all of these games seem to be quite simple. I bought a couple of games and then I got a big bundle with my new Oric. So I do actually have quite a few games here. I haven't got around to playing all of them yet, but they're all from 1983, 1984 or 1985. And that's a time when home computer games weren't particularly sophisticated. So all of these games are actually really quite simple, and I've got to say some of them are quite bad as well. Alright, so I'm going to load it up now. This is the Oric operating system. All of these 8-bit home computers always have a version of BASIC. Almost always have a version of BASIC. My recording actually includes the complete load, which seems to last about 4 minutes. But obviously I'm going to cut a bit of that out. There's no detailed loading picture. But that just seems to be the case with all of these Oric games. They're like playing early Amsoft games that I got with my Amstrad CPC. And they're all from that sort of time frame, actually. You get to choose the volume in-game because there's no volume control on the machine. It's all software controlled. Initiating the font, I guess. That's a bit of a text-heavy title screen, ain't it? But yeah, basically this is a fairly simple maze game, and you use the arrow keys to control Gubbie. Gubbie, the hero, the famous hero. I didn't realise he was famous. Alright, here we go. So actually this moves pretty fast. It doesn't look all that much. It actually plays quite nicely. I mean, it's really, really simple, so perhaps its simplicity is what helps it to be so fast. I sort of hoped one or two of these games would have proper in-game music, but the only one of my games that has music in-game I have a bad copy of that doesn't work. Obviously I watched a video to see what it looked like, to see what I was missing out on. Look at that, I've actually got some enemies. It's kind of like a Pac-Man game with a scrolling screen, isn't it? I think I would have liked this back then. Well, back then I would have been 1 year old, actually. Now there seems to be a little bit of random stuff up the top there, outside of the game, outside of the maze. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be there or if that's some sort of corruption. It's a little bit worrying actually, because I have a second Oric which always seems to have corruption in the characters on screen. So like, for instance, certain words will just be spelled wrong because it's displaying the wrong characters. Basic programs don't work because the code is spelt wrong, which is really weird, but that just seems to be what it is, and I think it might just be a RAM issue actually. All right, game over. We can play that again, can't we? Now I've got to say, I had a lot of trouble controlling this because I had to use the arrow keys on the Oric keyboard, and the arrow keys, they're not set up in a way that makes sense to me. I don't know what I'm pressing unless I'm actually looking at the keyboard. And well, I'll put a picture of the keyboard in here just to show you quickly. It goes left, down, up, right. So if it was left, right, up, down, then I think that would make more sense and it would be a lot easier to control. But it's really, really difficult for me to play this game. And this game claims to support the joystick, but the adapter I have doesn't seem to be compatible, so maybe there's a few different standards. I think the adapter that I have is the PAYS standard. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, I was actually quite enjoying playing this game. I think it would have been a lot more fun if I could control it a bit better. I do think that it could have been a bit more colourful, really. I don't know why everything has to be blue. Everybody has to be blue. Well, I mean, there's only about 3 different colours, isn't there? There's blue, white and red, and black, of course. But I think the Oric has 16 colours. Yeah, I did find the Oric to be a fairly interesting machine, because really, if you look at the specs, it's very close to a 48K ZX Spectrum, but it is actually technically better than a 48K Spectrum. It was cheaper, but it was also better, and it actually sold quite well. A lot of people quote the number, was it 160,000 sold? But I think that was just the sales in the first year. So I don't really know the total sales, because the machine did have a bit of an extended life in Europe. Even though it's a UK made machine, it actually did a little bit better in Europe. Everything wasn't completely dominated by the ZX Spectrum. And honestly, if you was going to buy one of the 2 machines, you'd probably still plump for the Spectrum, because it had a lot more choice of games, a lot more support, and I think Sinclair was a more famous name than Tangerine. There you go. So that's a look at Gubbie for the Oric, and actually I quite like that game. Oh, right, okay, so game over. So there you go. Thank you for watching, and goodbye, I guess.